Pacing, again, is just pretty much the art or the science or what have you of using your time effectively, right? Not wasting time on questions that maybe you shouldn't be spending too much time on, using your time effectively so that you can maximize your score. And guessing, as we're going to see, plays into your pacing strategy directly. So in terms of how many questions you should do, how many you should omit, how many you should skip, the general rule I have for this section, just like the reading section, is omit as few as possible. And this is true for really any score goal. Now, there's going to be a little caveat we're going to talk about in a second, but the reason why I say this is because you can eliminate on most questions at least two choices, that leaves you open for a guess. So this, again, folds into the guessing strategy, which is if you are down to 2 or 3 choices, so if you can eliminate 2 or 3 choices, if you're down to 2 or 3 choices you can choose from, then you always want to guess. And this is going to be true on most writing questions. You should be able to eliminate at least 2 or 3 choices just because they're going to be so obviously, either in the case of improving sentences, so obviously wrong, or in the case of error IDs, so obviously correct, that you should be able to eliminate down to at least 2 or 3, and then you make a guess. So there's going to be, the only instance where you're going to omit a question, really, besides for time issues, is going to be if you literally can't eliminate anything, or even, more than one choice. Then yeah, you can omit it. But that's not going to happen too often, especially if you're rigorously eliminating as as I have recommended for all the sections, math, reading, and writing. The one, as I said, caveat, the one little qualification is if time is an issue for you. So if you are running out of time by, if you're getting to the end of the error IDs and you're running out of time or whatever the case may be, you just don't have enough time to finish the section. If that's the case, then you really want to then kind of prioritize a bit. So focus on the easies and the mediums first before worrying about the hards. This is very similar to what I said in the math tactics series. You want to focus on the easies and you want to focus on the mediums because those are where the points are, right? For most people, they're relatively easy points compared to the hards. So if time is an issue, make sure you focus on those first. Now, what does this mean in practice? Well, if we look at, again, this breakdown of the section, it means you want to focus, maybe on 1 to 7 or 8 or so of the improving sentences, skip the last 3 or 4. Move then into 12 to, say, 24, 25, something like that. Do those error IDs. Then, of course, you want to hit these improving paragraphs because these are generally going to be easies and mediums, right? So by the time you've done that, you've hit all the easies and mediums. And now, at the end of that chunk, all you have left is hards. And let's say you've got 5 minutes left. Well, that's fine. Because the theory here is if you're going to run out of time, we would rather you run out of time on hard questions than on easies and mediums because those are points we want to get and we can most of the time we're able to get. And spending a bunch of time on hard questions is not obviously going to be a recipe for success. So if you're having an issue with time, break your attention into these chunks, right? So easies and mediums, 1 through 7 or so, 12 through 24 or so, and then the improving paragraphs. And then with the time you've got left, go back and try the hards. So that's just the general approach you want to take in order to maximize your time. If, of course, you don't have time issues, you can do them however you feel most comfortable. Even if you don't have a time issue, you might actually want to do this just because it will prioritize you and focus you down. And you won't feel as, if you're working on that number 10 or 11 hard improving sentence, that could take a while. And the general rule as well is you just don't want to get bogged down. Don't bog down. Right? So if you ever feel that instance, that feeling that you're slowing down, you're getting stuck on a question, you're getting frustrated, immediately just skip it, move on, come back to it later. You got to keep moving. That is the SAT pacing rule above all. And then, of course, like with the critical reading section, you want to eliminate aggressively. So again, focus on the choices that you can eliminate because they're either right or wrong. And there's a bit ambiguity there because, right, on the improving sentences, you're eliminating choices that are incorrect. Whereas in the error IDs, you're eliminating choices that are correct. And that will make more sense when we actually go through the choices. But you want to eliminate aggressively so that you can, if at the very least, get down to a guess. And then also, you always want to check all 5 choices. So if you're doing an error ID, for instance, and you look at A and say, oh, A is wrong, circle it, move on. If you were more careful, maybe you would have found that actually C looks wrong too, and then you've got a choice to make between the two, which before you wouldn't even had. So always check all thoroughly, and at first this could take some time, but really that's what it's going to take in order to maximize your score, checking all 5, being thorough, and being aggressive with your eliminations. Okay, so that's all I have to say about pacing and guessing. Let's move on to the next video.